Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Got a pretty simple one for you today. I want to show you how I take an idea that I have bouncing around up here and actually get it over here to the CNC and create a finished product. So the finished product I'm talking about involves this right here. I have a 2.5-inch dust hose that goes back there and then down underneath the enclosure where I have a shop vac. And then it has this Z holder right here that will hold this hose directly in place. I was using this in conjunction with the Suck It dust boot from Onefinity, and I need to change this setup. So the reason why I want to upgrade this is fourfold. Number one, I want more power, right? We all want more power. This is a 2.5-inch hose. I want to upgrade to a wall-mounted dust collector with a 4-inch hose. So I did a little research on Etsy. I found this boot right here, and this thing is awesome. Customer service is even better. I cut this adapter out here on the CNC. It's just a small ring here so that I could clip this into there and then hook this hose up there. And that's been working fine for the last, I don't know, month and a half. But I want to upgrade this hose. The second reason is the Suck It dust boot that I was using. I've broken 2 of them so far. Now I'm sure that's on me. I'm rushing through, probably not waiting for the bit to fully stop spinning before I'm pulling things out and stuff like that. But I've broken 2, so I wanted something definitely more substantial, and this is it. I am in no way, shape, or form affiliated with this Etsy shop, but I will leave a link down in the description to this boot here. It is awesome, and I'm telling you, the customer service is even better. The third reason I want to change all this is I have a little, I'm going to call it a tomb down there, where I have a dust deputy, a 5-gallon bucket, and a shop vac, and that's all underneath the enclosure in the back, and it is a pain to try to clean. I've got to take the bucket out. I don't really have all that much height, so the top of the dust deputy is hitting the bottom of my support rails on my enclosure. It is just a giant pain. And then if I ever have to get to the actual shop vac, which is back here down in this corner, that's even more of a pain. So I want to eliminate that. I'm sick of doing that. I'm sick of kneeling down on the concrete to change that. And the last reason is I've already burned up one shop vac, and now I've noticed down in that area there is a little bit of black soot that's starting to accumulate on the stuff down there. So I think those motor windings are starting to go, and that this second shop vac is about to get burned up. I know those things aren't meant to run for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours at a time. Sometimes some of these carves go a little bit long. So I want to get rid of that. So I am a proactive person, not a reactive person. So before that breaks and I'm SOL, I figured, well, why not upgrade my dust collection now? So the main thing I want this Z cover to do is fit on here securely and protect these wires right here. These wires are just dangling out there in the open. I don't want the hose to bang against this and start to weaken those wires right there and break that joint. So the main concern is to have some sort of cover that slides down over to here and has a little bit of a bump out to protect these wires right here. Shouldn't be too hard to replicate basically this right here. I can take the dimensions on all of this right here and basically create just a real quick profile of what I think that looks like. Then I'll be able to slide that on here and we'll see how it starts to run. The dimensions I really need to get right are this pocket right here, because that's what's going to slide down on my Z. So I'll just take down some rough measurements there, 1.5 inches by about 2.25 inches, and I will map these out a little bit better. I'll draw myself a small sketch, and then I'll bring this into Easel. That's the program I like to use, and I will mock something up that will basically create this lower part of this bracket. Once you've got all your numbers figured out, open up your program of choice. Program I use is Easel, and I basically just mocked this up off camera. I just took some rough dimensions here of the OD of what I wanted this whole cover to look like, and then I just matched up all my numbers here, just creating blocks and then combining them and cutting certain things away and adding other things. So if you take a look at this screen over here, this is pretty much what I got. I've got my outside profile there, my inside profile here, and then this is basically going to sit over the top of that motor. I think these dimensions are pretty close, and then here's my little jet out there to protect my wire on my Z motor. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. The material of choice I like to use when mocking things up like this is MDF. It's very light, it cuts very clean and very fast, so you can actually run your tool paths faster than you normally would in a solid wood or a softer wood. This MDF is very easy to cut. So I'll just plow through these and I will get going on my first prototype. So the material I like to use when mocking these prototypes up is MDF. It's a lot softer than wood, so you can run your tool paths a lot faster. It's very soft, it cuts very clean. So that's what I am going to use for all of this. I'm going to use some MDF. So I'm going to put some MDF down on the CNC. I'm going to run this tool path, give it a test, and see how it fits. That test worked really well. I was very close on my file design. This one here on the left is my original file design. You can see those sharp corners right there, those 90 degrees that were hanging up on the Z motor. If you look over here on this file on the right, you can see I've got a much softer edge there. That will allow this to sit down much deeper and fit correctly. So now a look at my actual file, you can see those are those 90-degree corners giving me trouble. If I come over here, I got those much softer mitered edges there. I've got a feeling this one will work much better. So back to the CNC. Those tests worked really well, so why not go for this? I've got some 1/2-inch Baltic birch plywood. So I'm gonna end up cutting out this file like this. I just kind of mocked up this little horseshoe looking thing here. I hope that my duct is just gonna fit right in here. And I left a couple nubs here. Maybe I might want to put like a rubber band or something across there just to hold the hose in here a little bit more firm. Then I played around and I actually cut a cover with some through holes here just to give off a little bit of air movement, some heat dissipation. So this one is flipped because I want to actually, when I'm done with this, I want this little wire recess here for that strain relief to be flipped over to the right side, just like these two here at the bottom. Then I just added a couple of pockets in here, so once this is sandwiched together, this little horseshoe will fit inside of there. So here's that cap I was talking about with those holes for a little bit of heat dissipation there. And then those pockets there and there. That should fit this horseshoe here. So I've got some 1/2-inch Baltic birch. I'm going to put that down on the CNC and cut away. So the reason why there's no footage of me testing this right here is because I had extremely high hopes for this and it did not work at all. That hose is a little bit too rigid and it needs to be able to flex and expand and contract as the CNC itself is running, and this did not work at all. So I was mad, so I went over to the bandsaw, I cut this off, so I was left with this with that end cap. Then I went nuts and I just decided to sand the heck out of this. I made this into basically a wooden hockey puck. Tried that on there. That didn't work either. I thought maybe the rounded edges would help the hose just kind of guide around it. That wasn't working either. It was time for me to change my approach to this and think of something different. Back here in easel, this is a side profile view of what I want to cut out. This dark box here, this is what represents that actual cover that's going to snap on to the Z. So I think if I put something there like that, and then I have my dust hose that's going to be represented here by this. I think that if my dust hose wants to sit and maybe catch up here, it might roll up here like this and then stay up here and, you know, kind of live up here. And then again, when I'm moving the router left to right and back to front, you know, it might want to get caught up here. So I'm hoping it'll roll up over the top of these. So I've got 2 of these that I'm going to cut out and actually glue on to that Z cover. And I'll run a test and hopefully this hose will just kind of roll over the top of this thing and not get snagged up or caught up down here. Not quite sure if it's going to work. Only one way to find out. Alright, that was a rookie mistake there, not having the dog bone so that this file will sit a little bit lower and sit correctly on that Z cover. So I added some dog bone here, relief holes. These are just circles that I just created, and then I just overlaid them there. So that way the toolpath would have a crisp 90 on the inside corner. And I extended these down a little bit longer. Maybe that'll help this work a little bit better. Back to the CNC. So I was eating dinner and I thought, well, maybe I'm thinking about this all wrong. Instead of allowing the hose to get behind and underneath this Z cover, why not stop that from happening in the first place? So I just took a scrap piece of oak, put a little super glue on here, and I think this will just kind of act as a guard that really just won't even let the hose, you know, get by this, so there's no way it can possibly get caught up on anything. I know it's pretty cheap and easy right now. I'm going to put this on there, run a little proof of concept test. If it ends up working, I will go back to easel and I will create an actual respectable version of this and then put it on here and test it out. Alright, well, you guys saw that was awesome. Sorry for the noise here, but this worked the best so far. So I need to go into easel and make a better version of this, something a little bit more sturdy. I think I'm on the right path. I think I'm really close, and I can tell you I am definitely very excited. So after running that test of just gluing that board right onto that Z cover, that seemed to work the best so far out of anything. So I mocked up something like this, just kind of a straight piece here. You know, I add a little profile detail there, why not? We've got a CNC, might as well use it. So I've got this piece mocked up here. This is just going to slide down on that Z cover, and hopefully it'll keep the hose somewhere in this range here, and it won't be able to get outside these outside edges and get caught up. Let's go test this one. This test was pretty close. This was my closest attempt so far. I feel like I'm getting close, guys, so I jump back in the easel over here. I made these arms that jet out 1.5 inches longer on each side. And then I made a little wing, a little step out here. I think that will just help keep this hose from wanting to really roll around. It won't be able to just kind of roll and just kind of curve around the corner. It's going to have to come out even further. So guys, I got my fingers crossed. I think this is going to be the one. So let's cut this, test this, and hopefully this is the last time you're seeing me use easel in this video. So after a bunch of testing and a bunch of failed attempts, it is nice to finally land on one that's gonna work. At least I think it is. Time will tell. If you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up. Help spread this to the rest of the community. Maybe somebody out there, maybe you have a better design for this, or you've gone through the same thing and you figured out a better way to do it. Or maybe you're struggling with the same thing I was. You can take some inspiration from this. I can find a way to send you a file. If you hit me up in the comments down below. But until next time, take it easy.